In this third video, we're going to cover creating the invoice for the purchase order we created in the previous video. And then we're going to pay the vendor. So we'll create a new script. We'll call it Invoice Purchase Order and Pay Vendor. Okay, so that's our new script. So let's start our recording. We'll record it in advanced mode in the current window on the left hand side. So once our application loads, we can start recording the script. Okay, that's our application loaded. Let's click record. And we'll use the vendor invoice entry workspace so we can search for our purchase order that we created in the previous video. And then we can directly invoice from here. We'll give our invoice an invoice number. We'll change this to a variable later on after we finish recording, and we'll give it an invoice date of today. Okay, let's update our match status. And we can see it's passed. We're going to want to validate that, but first we want to save the invoice number as a variable. So again, we can use this later in the script or across different scripts. So we'll save this as a variable. And then for our match status, we probably want to do some validation on that. So again, we'll save it as a variable and then we'll validate against that. We can do that directly as we're recording it. Let's click on Create with Condition. And it will check to make sure it's passed. If it's not, it will warn us. Okay, let's create that. Turn off the picker. Okay, I think that looks like everything, so we can post. And it's posted successfully. So now let's pay our vendor. We'll go and navigate to a vendor payment journal. We'll create a new one. And we'll add the lines. We'll use the vendor account for the vendor that we created in our first video. Great, so now we'll settle the transactions. So there's multiple invoices to settle here, but we'll search for the one we want. So we can use the search and filters at the top. We'll mark that. And click OK. Okay, let's generate our payments. We can see the payment method is check. So click OK, we should generate a check number. That's correct. And click OK. As you can see, we haven't got a check printer set up here, but we're not going to worry about that for the demo, and we'll fix that later. So let's post. That's great, we can see the operations complete. And that concludes our script, so let's go back and look at the steps we've generated. And we'll look for errors that we need to update. Okay, we'll definitely need to change the vendor invoice number And that needs to be unique, so we'll use a sequence number. So let's use the picker, and we'll select a sequence and then invoice number. So then it will generate a unique invoice number every time the script's run. We'll do the same for the invoice description. Again, picker, sequence, and then invoice description. We need to change the date as well, so we want it to give today's date no matter when it's run. We'll use some advanced code for this. Again, we used this in the previous video. It's very useful for setting dates in the past and in the future, and if we enter 0 here, that will always put in today's date. Okay, let's look down here. Okay, we need to search for our invoice, so we would need to use the variable for the invoice number to do that search. Okay, we'll select and we'll select our invoice number variable. That looks okay. Okay, I guess we want to run this back, but obviously we've used the purchase order that we created in the previous video. So the easiest way to do this is I'm going to go and run that script that we did in the previous video again. So we generate a new purchase order number that we can use to validate this script. I'll run it in the background. And then when that's finished running, we can go and check the history, and it should have saved the purchase order number as a variable. There we go, here's our purchase order number. So now we can reuse that in our current script. So we can play it back and validate it. Okay, let's go back to our script. And we'll update step 4 with our new PO number. And then we'll run the script back to check it works correctly. Okay, let's run that back. We'll run it back in the foreground again so you can see. I'll speed up the video a little to save some time. Okay, so we're searching for our new PO number. Our invoice number is now going to use our sequence numbers, and the invoice description, the invoice date, will use today's date. Okay, we did the validation on the match status, and everything looks okay. Now we're going to create our vendor payment journal. We use our same vendor. Settle transactions, again we're using our variable here to search for the invoice number. We generate payments. And here we can see we've got an error about the printer. So we forgot to update that, so the actual script has stopped and errored. So we'll go back and fix that. We can fix it in the script by using Advanced Conditionals. So if we scroll down, we're looking at steps probably 38 and 39 where it failed. And we could add an advanced conditional to that. Advanced conditionals are like guards. You can guard certain steps. We'll create a new one. We're expecting the printer to be there, the printer error. So we're going to select our steps to guard. 38 and 39. I think it's probably only 39, but we'll put 38 in. So now we're going to tell it what to do on interruption. So we're going to react on a system error because it was an error. And we're going to select an action of continue, so the script continues and doesn't stop and fail. And then we'll override the status to success. So we know that it's going to error and we're happy that is the case. So here you can see the advanced conditionals now on those two steps. So we need to run this back and check if it's working now. But again, we need a new purchase order number. So we'll do exactly the same as we did last time. We'll run our previous script to create the purchase order and goods receipted. And then we can go into the history and find our new purchase order number. Okay, there's our PO number. So we save that and update our current script. Okay, we'll update step 4 now with our new purchase order number. And now we should be able to run that back to validate it all works correctly. Okay, again I'll speed up the video just to save some time. Okay, so we use our new PO number. Again, our sequence numbers. And our advanced code to make sure it's today's date. So the use of advanced conditionals is a really good feature in executive automats. It enables you to overcome things like errors that you're expecting, and it's really good for negative testing. You can, expecting an error, you can validate that error and then override it using an advanced conditional. So the test script ends up being a success. Okay, we're coming to the end of our script now. So now we're on steps 43 and 44. We can see we're still getting the error, but the script continued and was overridden to success. Let's check the history. As you can see, it's now finished and success. Let's take a look at the steps here. And you can see here, unable to find printer path. Status was overwritten by step to success. Again, very useful. Okay, I think that's everything. You run the script back, we know it works okay, we're fairly happy. I guess we ought to change the status of the script. So it's currently a draft, so we probably want to make this ready for review. Okay, that's ready for review. So we've got 3 scripts now from our 3 videos. We created a new vendor. We then used that vendor to create a purchase order and goods receipted. And in this video, we have invoiced the purchase order and paid the vendor. So in the final part 4 video, we're going to put all of these together and link them together so we can get a whole end-to-end process for the procure to pay. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.